reached the City of Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency, press 1. For police emergency and non...
Vineland Police, operator 7170.
I'd like to speak to a captain to report the dispatcher just harassed me, the child molester.
To me, I didn't harass you. Stop calling.
No, I don't have to stop calling. Yes, you did harass me. I'd like to speak to the Lieutenant Bauer, Captain Lene Bowers.
You're not speaking to no one.
Yes, I am.
If you don't got a problem,
You need to stop harassing me. You need to stop harassing me. You're bullying me. They won't let me speak to anybody or call the police department. They won't let me sit there and speak to anybody. She's a child molester. She's she's a prostitute in the child sex trafficking ring. They're sitting there refusing me to speak to law enforcement officers.
You reached the City of Vineland Police Department.
These are racists and thugs who basically, they're on drugs.
If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now. For a list of further options, please press 2.
Tell me I'm not allowed to call there? They're sitting there just bullied by her or whatever. Yeah, I went off on her. I'm just there and called you exactly what she was.
Vineland Police, operator 8268.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to Captain Lene Bowers.
She's not here right now.
Yeah, you're all telling me that people are not there and telling me nobody's there or whatever, so refusing me to speak to people. I'd like to speak to an officer. I need to speak to an officer, Captain. I can speak to another captain. So.
What's your name and phone number? I'll have them call you back.
No, I need to speak to a captain.
What's your name and phone number?
What's an extension for me to speak to a captain?
There's nobody in the building right now. What's your name and phone
There's
number?
nobody in the building? That's not true. I need to speak to somebody. I need to speak to a sergeant.
Okay, they're not here right now.
I'd like to speak to your chief.
I'll have them call you back.
I'd like to speak to your chief.
Okay, he's not here right now. What's your name and phone number? I'll have them call you back.
I'd like to speak to Internal Affairs.
We already tried, but they're not answering, so I definitely know that they're not in their office.
So I'd like to speak to, well, anybody. There's somebody there.
Have them call you back.
No, I'd like to speak to an officer.
Okay.
Not the one at the desk, not the one at the desk that threatened to shoot me, that threatened to kill me, not the one that threatened to murder me. I just spoke to an Officer Shaw, and he actually refused me to speak and was speaking over me and wouldn't let me say anything. Just waiting for it to do that.
You have reached the City of Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency, please press 1. If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now. For a list of further options, please... For police emergency and non-emergency dispatch, please press 1.
Vineland Police, operator 7170.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to a Captain Lieutenant Lene Bowers.
¿Puedo ayudar? Oh, I thought you spoke Spanish.
Excuse me?
I thought you spoke Spanish. Wrong call. What can I help you with?
Now you're making racist comments?
I thought you were Spanish. I'm Puerto Rican, so what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. You keep discriminating against me and refusing me my rights because I'm white. And you keep talking to me like I'm an inferior it. You discriminated against me before and refusing me rights and then sit there.
Stop calling here.
I have a right to call there.
If you have an emergency, knock it off. I'm going to keep hanging up on you.
I'm asking to speak to an officer, Captain Lene Bowers, and keep unjustly discriminating against me because I'm white. You've harassed me before because I'm white. Hello? They're unjustly discriminating against me. They actually terrorized me before when I was being a victim when I was a victim of domestic violence. And sitting there, ignored my call, and basically because I'm being abused, they sat there, falsified information, and slandered me, and had an officer sitting there, threatened me to call crisis on me or whatever because I'm trying to call for being a victim of domestic violence. I just got the racist remark sitting there.
You have reached the City of Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency, please press 1. If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now.
They had me falsely charged and arrested and made a false report on me because I was being tortured and abused for being a victim of domestic violence. Threatening to call crisis on me if I call. Sitting there telling me not to call. I mean, I'm shaking. I didn't block my number. I was basically being abused and victim of domestic violence. My windows were busted out and everything. This is what they're doing. They're harassing white people who are victims of domestic violence. This is the same one that basically terrorized me before. They're racially discriminating against me. They're slandering me all over throughout the police department.
If this is an emergency, please press 1. For police...
And then she falsely called the police on me because I'm basically being a victim of domestic violence, calling the police.
Reports, please press 2.
Vineland Police, operator 7170.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to Captain Lene Bowers. Hello? They're refusing me to speak to anybody, unless it's basically Vi, because Vi threatened to shoot me. And it's caused severe trauma, and harassed me for being a victim of abuse. That's what they do.
You have reached the City of Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency, please press 1. If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now. For police emergency and
Vineland Police, operator 7170.
Yeah, I'm looking to speak to a captain, please. They're refusing me to sit there and speak to anybody. That's what they're doing. Because I'm not Spanish. That's it. That's what he just told me. If I don't speak Spanish, whatever. Tell me they're basically going to call crisis on me for them abusing me and harassing me, refusing me rights, and refusing me to speak. Tell me I'm not allowed to call the police department. Threatening me if I do. They basically falsify reports on me. Tell me if I call the police department.
City of Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency, please press 1. If you know your party's 4-digit extension,
They're just going to they slander me in reports for calling the police department because I'm white.
please press 2.
Oh, in quote, white.
For police emergency and non-emergency dispatch, please press 1.
By the way, my daughter's Puerto Rican.
Vineland Police, operator 7170.
Yeah, I keep being hung up on by dispatcher and basically refusing me to allow me to speak to a captain or an officer that is there. Just what they keep doing. They're putting down the phone. I don't know if they're disconnected or not, but they're not doing anything. Not transferring me or anything. I'm basically mainly targeted because I'm a Republican supporter, religious, end quote, white Christian woman, even though we're all of color. But they're harassing me and refusing me to make complaints or whatever. And the thing is, I mean, they're harassing me, hacking into my computer, bullying me. It's the Spanish Inquisition all over again, isn't it?
Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency,
They lived a privileged life all through America. They never suffered anything.
extension, please enter.
By the way,
For a list of further options, please press 2. For police emergency and non-emergency dispatch, please press 1.
they answered the phone and they're flipping it backwards because they were answering the phone.
Police operator 7170.
Yeah, I'm looking to speak to a law enforcement officer captain, please. It's my right to do so. You don't have a right to sit there and refuse me to do that. Hello? Hello? This is what they keep doing. So they actually had an officer like speaking in Spanish, by the way. This was an officer like Rivera answering the phone in Spanish because I couldn't understand what she said or whatever. And she knows, and they were harassing me because they were calling. I was calling or whatever. And so I'm sitting there saying I speak English, I don't understand Spanish or whatever. So they're sitting there like, because they're sitting there saying it's racist because I told her to speak English or whatever and things like that. And I did not make any racist statement or whatever. So they're trying to flip it backwards, which is not the same thing. They know I don't understand Spanish and they were flipping that backwards then and speaking Spanish. No, I don't understand Spanish. And she sat there, because I said my name. She did not answer the phone saying her name, by the way. So, and the thing is, I was being harassed and bullied by Rivera, the other Rivera, Mal of Rivera, and a lot of people who are Hispanic, Latino, or Puerto Rican or whatever, and being bullied and refused rights. They're making slanderous reports on me, refusing to take my complaints and stuff. So it's really, really disturbing. It's just like, I mean, they're playing games. They're trying to flip things backwards like they always do. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that it's just like all of them or whatever. These are the ones basically racists that are unjustly discriminating against me, they're slandering me to everybody else. I'm sure there's like a lot of people who are basically Puerto Rican or whatever, Latino or Hispanic that have class that would not act like this or whatever. I do not count the people to basically the savages among them, just like basically, and it goes for everybody. Just because there's a few, actually there's many bad cops doesn't mean they're all bad cops. You know what I'm saying? So, and the same thing with every race or whatever. So, I mean, this is pretty sad, actually.
You have reached the City of Vineland Police Department. If this is an emergency, please press 1. If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now. For a list of further options, please press 2. For police emergency and
They call this woman called me a lot of trauma before.
For records and reports, please press 2.
For being a victim of domestic violence, I was being terrorized.
Vineland Police operator 7170.
I have a right to speak to an officer. You don't have a you don't have a right to refuse that. Are you gonna sit there and you gonna do this again? This is what they're doing. She's refusing me to make a complaint or to speak to anybody. They're using Vi because Vi harasses me or whatever and hangs up on me or whatever, and I told him I'm not dealing with him because he's committed heinous crimes against me. He belongs in basically prison, okay? He's a mind raper. I mean, these people are basically of a child. These are people of a child sex trafficking ring in the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department. So,
You have reached the City of Vineland.
they're prostitutes doing this, by the way. That's what they are. They're prostitutes.
If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now. For a list of further
I'm not saying all of them, but...
press 2.
Oh.
For police emergency and non-emergency
And go through another route.
Vineland Police records.
Michelle, hi.
Teresa, what's up?
I'm actually being terrorized by dispatcher, and I basically they just made a racial claim against me. Will not let me speak to an officer or be transferred to captains or whatever. I'm basically claiming I can't call because I don't speak Spanish. I have that on recording. I need to speak to somebody, a captain or somebody that's available. They're saying nobody's in the building. They're saying there's no captains, no chief, no sergeant, no any of these things. And they're pretending they're taking my number and refusing me to speak to anybody, and then sitting there telling me call back at 5 or whatever, and I had a complaint. I just was hung up on like 10 times by dispatchers.
All right, I can call and see if there's anybody available. Can you hold on?
Yeah, can you give me like a captain or somebody, or I mean, I spoke to a lieutenant they transferred me to, and he's talking over me and will not let me speak or make my complaint or anything like that, and hung up on me.
All right, hold on, Tree.
Officer Shaw, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
So they psychologically tortured me, and they're bullying me, and they're sitting there traumatizing me, and yeah, I yelled at them. I went off, and I'm like, you guys are nothing but child molester protectors or whatever, and things like that or whatever. I'm sitting there crying or whatever, and they're harassing me, and then they're sitting there like refusing me rights in the police department. So, I mean, I just want to let you know that it was the so-called, in quote, white males that basically terrorized me first or whatever, but not every officer in the police department who was like Latino or Puerto Rican or whatever is treating me like this, but some of them treat me very kindly and then falsified information behind my back or refused my rights or whatever, and just was nice to me, like, you know, to my face or over the phone to my face, acting like they were helpful, and then refused to take their complaint.
Teresa?
Yes.
Yeah, nobody's around. The only other, and I know you're not going to want to do this, but the only other option I have is internal affairs.
The thing is, I called them, and I know there's like some people there. They're claiming that they're not there. I mean, I just spoke to somebody, and you know, that's what the dispatchers are saying, and they're like lying. I already know that there's always a couple of officers at the desk, and I know that, you know, they have to have like sergeants like on call in building. Like, I know like some of the system where they have to have different officers in different places.
Yeah, well,
I know you don't know that and know, you know, everything or whatever, but I know like some of the system or whatever, and so you're being lied to. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like I said, I just tried calling the different captains, and nobody picked up their phone. I mean, you got to realize this is a big building, and they're not always at their desk.
Oh, I understand that part. I know that, you know. I mean, people, you know, they roam and stuff.
The
Yeah.
officer at the front desk, I don't know if you want to talk to
That's Vi. That's the one that threatened to kill me. That's the one who terrorized me and kept hanging up on the phone like 20 times, and they basically refused to take my complaint and made a false complaint to cover up us being robbed out of our bank account.
Okay.
So,
like I said, the only other option I have for you is internal affairs, Teresa. That's the only
right. I mean, I did call, and like, no, they aren't picking up the phone. I mean, I'm going to try to call one more time, but I know Landy doesn't take my complaints or whatever. And the other ones, they basically hang up on me, and you know, they play this game so they don't answer their phones or whatever. I know there's a bogus number they set up to sit there and tell people what's a real number. It's not. It's just beeps. But the thing is, it's just nobody picks that up. So, yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm just gonna make a record of this. And the thing is, I've been refused rights for like many, many years, and it doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and just walk away because ain't nobody going to hear me. You understand? Because I mean, it's just wrong. I'm just going to stand up and fight for basically, well, in the name of law enforcement, if you will. So, because we need a law enforcement department, not like this chaos, confusion, or whatever. And I mean, it's a disaster. This is this is our town. Nobody deserves to have a police department like this that is going to treat us like this.
Yeah,